I want to show you how to make a data table in Capstone. This works for any lab regardless. I'm going to use it off of a video capture that I had. So you first of all drag a data table and drop it in. It will default to 2 columns. You get to select what measurements you want to put in here. So I'm going to put time, and I'm going to put in which object. So I have 3 videos in here right now, so I'm going to use object 3, whatever you happen to use. You might have sensors hooked up to this that you're going to take data from. I'm using this video. So the first thing you want to know is that that Capstone defaults to a certain number of sig figs. So for time, it was 3 decimal points, and you could see that all these look different, so that's fine. For distance, though, this is a problem because it looks like 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, 0.01, they all look the same. But we know that this cart is moving down the track. So I need to see more decimal places so that I can effectively note the position. So I'm actually going to increase decimal places by using this button here. So 1, I can see I still have some repetition. I can't distinguish between those 2, so I'm going to add in another one. Here's where now every single number is different and I can tell. Now you want to think it through every lab you do and take a decision about how many decimal places are showing. So you want to show the maximum amount of decimal places that show differences in trials without giving you excess information at a level of detail that we don't care about. The other thing you can do is add more columns. So this is a excuse me, this is a calculator column, and these are just generic columns. So let's put in a generic column here, and when I do this, you can see I again can make whatever I want in this column. I can use my distance. Again, I can put in another calculation if I want. I can add in a constant. I can create something completely new, like enter in what if I change the mass for everyone. There's lots of things you can do. But let's say I want to make I would like to do a calculation. So I'm going to create a new calculation, and I'm going to go over to my calculator, and I'm going to let me delete some of these old ones, and I want to put in a calculation. So first of all, I want to give it a name. I want to calculate the distance that the cart's traveled, and to do that I need the difference between my final position and my initial position. So I'm going to come over here. If you go to the triangle, you could select from values. So I'm going to take my X position here, and I'm going to subtract my initial position. So my first position is listed right here. So I'm just going to copy that number. So you're going to do that for whatever value you might have if you're practicing this. Okay, and then I want to make sure I put in the right units, which should be meters. And look what happens here. In this column now, my calculation column, the header changed, and now I have values. Again, it defaulted to 2 significant figures. I need to increase this until I can see differences. You'll notice these values aren't very different. Sometimes this is not necessary to do, and sometimes it will be necessary to do. I just was showing you an example. And you could add more columns if you want. That's perfectly fine. Some of the, if you want to delete a column, like oh, you know what, I don't need this time column, so I could pull it out if I want to. If I want to put another one back in, I can redo that. That's really quick and easy thing to do. So we'll be using data tables to organize our information, to do calculations. This is another tool that you have in addition to Excel. Sometimes this is going to be easier and better to use, and sometimes you'll want to pull information off of it and drop it into Excel. Depends on lots of things, but we're going to use this as one of the many tools we have to do analysis.